All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Celine, and I'm about to have a little talk with you guys about time and how it is so much more valuable than anything else that we have in our life. Before we do that, let me just set me up here so that everything is set up on live on Instagram and on Facebook. Give me 1 second. Alrighty then. And we're good. Here we go. So I have my Instagram here that I'm trying to also please. I'm trying to do all the things at once. Okay, there we go. All right, everyone. Hello. Ready to begin. So I want to talk to you guys about today about how time is the most valuable currency that we have. And it's something that we absolutely do not want to waste, right? So we have truly, a lot of us as a society specifically, we have forgotten the value of time, right? So many of us, spend our time chasing money, looking for external validations of our worth, just kind of looking outside for things that are like worth our time. And the biggest culprit is money, but obviously there's many, many around that, when we have actually been giving a very precious currency. And every day we have less of it. Right? So we have forgotten, as a society, so many of us have forgotten that the only thing that we have on this planet after we lose everything else, the only thing we have to trade is time. It's our most precious commodity, right? And it's something that we should value way, way more than anything else that we are given that we can exchange for value, right? That we can that we can use in a transaction, right? So here is the best and coolest thing about us having time as a form of currency. We can choose to do what we want with it, right? What we want with it. We can do whatever we want with it. If you're in a shitty date and you don't want to be in that date anymore, you don't have to just because you feel bad. If you were in a job that makes you angry or where people disrespect you, you don't have to be at that job anymore. You can choose to look for another one. If you're not living the life that you want to live, you don't have to be stuck in that life anymore. We are given time, and the most beautiful thing about being in this life, about being alive, is that all of us have it, right? We are all given it, right? Some of us, are born into wealthier families than others, right? Some of us have different privileges than others, but every single one of us has time, right? It's not only the most precious thing we have, but it's something that equalizes us as human beings. So I know that some people, have very difficult situation, right? And it's easier for some people to use their time the way they want to than with others. Trust me, I get that. I get it. Like people look at my life, and they see that I'm traveling around the world and, I'm living a life that I'm happy with, which I am, and, building an online business. And, they think, so many people think it's so easy. But they don't see the struggle, right? And that's something that when you look at people who are happy or successful or both, because they're not, one doesn't equate the other necessarily. So you look at them and you're like, wow, damn, that must be nice. Like it must be nice to have this time to do all the things you like and all the things you want to do. But what you're actually not seeing is the struggle behind that, right? Is what people had to do for them to be back in control of their time, what people actually had to do for them to have that power back, invite that power back into their lives, right? So, people look at me and they're like, oh, great, what an easy life, what a great life, right? But they don't see that, I had a pretty shitty childhood sometimes, and that people who were supposed to protect me abandoned me or weren't present, and that my mom and I worked so hard for every dime that we have, right? Like they don't see that as a teenager I was low income, that at one point our household income was less than $20,000 a year, which in the Northeast of America is actually really, really low income. It's really hard, right? They don't see that I was working like 30 hours and going to school full time so I could get into one of the best schools in America, because that was my vision, right? No one sees that, right? No one sees how I invested my time back then for me to have my time the way I want it now, right? So I don't come from money. I wasn't handed what I have on a silver platter. I have my struggles just like you have yours, right? And I have my privileges just like you have yours, right? So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you have been through. We have been dealt the same currency, time, right? Beyonce has 24 hours of it. I have 24 hours of it a day. You have 24 hours of it a day. So what are you going to do with it? Right? So, that's the next step of like what I'm thinking about. The first step is really to recognize how incredibly precious and valuable time is, and how much it can get you what you want way more than any other currency, right? First and foremost, learn to appreciate your time and to understand that anyone who has it and has control of it and has power over it has done something for it, has worked hard for it, and you have no idea how. Right? But that's not the point. The problem is you're gonna work hard for it too, and you can have it if you want it. So the next step of what I wanted to discuss around time, this idea of time being so precious, is to train your mind to set boundaries and look for solutions, right? There's always a solution when you are willing to look for one. So get off your butt, start thinking about how you can get a better use of your time so that you're actually fulfilled for each and every minute of it, and then do something about it. So I'm going to also tell you, give you a few tips on how you can go about doing that, right? So first of all, don't waste your time on shit that doesn't matter, right? It's so obvious and such a piece of advice that it seems that nobody follows these days. If something doesn't matter, don't waste time on it, right? Prioritize the things that are important, and that is what you're putting money towards, right? If somebody just sent you an entire list of shopping cart, a shopping cart full of stuff, and they're like, okay, buy all of this. And you're like, well, I actually I don't eat granola. I'm lactose intolerant. There's milk on this. I eat this thing once a year. I only really need 5 things out of this grocery cart. And they're like, no, it doesn't matter. You need all of it, right? Spend $300 on it. You just need it. You're probably going to think it's pretty ridiculous. Why would you ever buy something that you hardly use, that you don't necessarily like? Why not just purchase the food that you eat every day and is going to feed you, right? So how is it any different from time, right? If you're wasting your time doing a bunch of things every day and most of them don't serve you, why would you do that? Why would you spend your currency on something that isn't incredibly valuable or giving back to you and your dreams and the way that you want to live your life, right? So as I was saying before, if you're in a date and you hate it, you don't have to be there, right? And if you're in a job and you absolutely hate it, you hate every minute of it, you don't have to be there, right? You don't have to do the things that, don't matter to you and also that don't serve you, because those are two different things, right? If you don't want to do it and it doesn't contribute to your overall well-being, don't do it. And I get it. There's obstacles, right? There's obstacles. You can't just wake up tomorrow, quit your job, because then you have bills to pay, right? I recognize that. That's why I'm saying train yourself to look for solutions. Train your mind to find things where before there was nothing, right? So that is what I'm saying. I hate it. I hate it when people say to me, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. These are words that I have completely eliminated from my vocabulary, because not making a choice is a choice. You have made your choice, and that's not making a choice. And again, I get it. We all go through some pretty tough shit, and some of us go through tougher shit than others. But the second that you surrender yourself to the belief that your situation is too tough to deal with, you completely lose your ability to change it, right? So you don't even get to change it anymore, right? So again, life is hard sometimes. You can't always just walk out of things in the second that you feel you don't want to do them anymore. I get it. But what I'm saying is, if you don't like something, don't waste another minute of your time just complacently doing it, blindly doing it. Look for solution, right? Instead of saying, well, I guess I'm stuck in this job, right? Instead of saying, well, I guess I can't get out of this date. Instead of saying I guess I'm not making the money I want because I was born in this situation. Ask yourself, how can I get out of this job? How can I gracefully exit this date and still save face and not waste another 3 hours of my life, right? What do I need to do to change my situation right now? It's not the best. It sucks. So what steps do I need to take for things to turn around, right? So that mindset change is already making a huge difference, right? Just changing your mindset of, I don't have to do this anymore. I'm not wasting my time on this anymore. And I'm going to look for a solution is already a step towards the solution. And it's going to help you protect your time so that you're making the best possible use of it, which guess what? Is going to give you time with the loved ones, is going to give you time to make money your way. It's going to give you time for you to actually enjoy yourself and pursue your passions and do your hobbies, which in turn is going to help you. When you're pursuing your passions, you learn new things because you're engaged, you're passionate about it. When you're learning new things, you can come up with even more solutions, right? You have even more things that you're thinking about, inspiration, things come to you, opportunities come to you. You want time. Trust me, that's the one thing you want. When you're burned out and you're like, I can't do it anymore, let me spend a whole day like walking in the park, going to a spa. I can because I have time, right? Because I'm protecting it on the things that matter, and this matters, right? When you're investing your time in what you love and fulfills you, you're going to be working and excelling in what you enjoy, and that's going to help you find the solutions that you need to generate the results that you desire to magnetize into your life. And that brings me to my last point. Time is incredibly precious, and the enemy of time is excuses. Just don't, right? I'm going to challenge you right now. If you're watching this, I'm going to challenge you to eliminate every single excuse you could possibly come up with from your life in a week. It's going to change you, right? When you look at people who aren't accomplishing things that they want to do, who aren't living a fulfilling life, it's because they have an excuse not to do so, right? So I would tell you, for you to make up, to really, really make the most possible value of your time, my first thing that I would also say is don't make excuses. Eliminate them. No excuse mindset, right? So here is a helpful tip that I'm going to give to you guys that I teach my private coaching clients is make a list of all the excuses. Like think about a goal. Think about something you really want right now. So maybe you want to change your job. Maybe you don't want to be in your job anymore. Make a list of all the excuses why you can't leave your job right now, right? Like any reason that comes to your mind as to why you can't go look for another job and, get a new job, right? Let's see. I need to pay my bills. I'm scared that I won't make enough money. I don't have another job lined up. Just keep going through the list. And this can apply to anything, any area of your life, right? Just make a list of all the excuses that you could possibly have. Next, write out the ideal scenario in which this excuse is no longer valid. So in an ideal scenario, somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, actually, I have a job for you and I'm going to hire you today and I'm going to pay you more than what you're currently making. That's ideal, right? And make it more specific. If you're working in, say, advertising and you want a job in a startup, you want a job in a fashion startup, you'll say, okay, ideally tomorrow, someone in a fashion startup is going to come up to me. They're going to offer me a job. It's going to pay me more and I'm just going to take it. And that I won't have an excuse not to hate my job anymore, right? Next, write a realistic scenario of what you could do if you really wanted to disassemble this excuse. So, again, using this example, okay, well, realistically, what I could do because I hate this job so much is I could start this week applying. I guess realistically, I could just start applying for jobs and start reaching out to my network and kind of seeing if I can move closer to what I want. I don't really know anyone at a fashion startup, but I do know somebody at a startup. So I guess I could contact them because at least a startup is already something different, is already getting a step closer to what I want, right? And then ask yourself, well, what steps can you take right away, right? So all of a sudden you're like in this place of like, oh, I don't have money. I can't pay my bills. I need to apply for another job. What would people think? And then you're like, okay, well, maybe today I'm going to start applying to the startups that I do have access to or that I do have a connection to. And I'm going to do that. I'm just going to start applying, right? And start doing things that I actually like to do, like for jobs that I actually feel that I would fit in with the culture. And then what steps do you need to work harder for, right? Obviously, everything is not going to get handed to you on a silver platter. So then you ask yourself, okay, well, I know that I want to start up and I'm already applying for these jobs in a startup, but I actually really want to work in fashion. So I'm going to take that extra step and network harder, and I'm going to go on LinkedIn and I'm going to spend hours and hours, again, time, currency of my time trying to do something that really gets me closer to my goal. Oh, I don't have money. Oh, you know what? Today I'm going to start saving 20% of my salary. Every week is going to go aside. So as I'm working on this stuff, I can at least know that I'm putting some money aside, right? And while I'm at it, I have a Netflix subscription that I never use because it's a waste of time. And I'm going going to cut that out. So that's an extra $20 a month, right? So you're already starting to think about the steps that you need to work for. Some of them are going to be very easy. It's going to be a matter of hopping online for 2 seconds and just canceling some subscriptions that you have that you don't need. Others are going to be hard. They're going to ask you to look inside of yourself and really challenge yourself and ask yourself, like, is this what I want? Is this what I'm willing to basically redirect my time on, right? So then I'm going to ask you, is this list of things, these steps you mapped out, is it something you want to work through? Are you willing to work through these steps? If the answer is yes, great. Now you get a map. You can start mapping out how to work through this excuse step by step, right? Give yourself a timeline. If you want to like quit your job and go travel the world, but you can't afford it, so tell yourself that from now on, you're going to be putting aside a certain part of your salary. You're going to take a side job within the next 30 days. You're going to put in your notice by this exact date. Right? So you're already starting to dismantle that excuse of like, I can't do this. I'm too scared. I don't have money. It's like, okay, I'm already working through it. If your answer is not, it's not the excuse, it's your mindset. So that's when I would invite you to actually go back to your initial intention, to the thing that's making you unhappy, and really sit with that, right? Because if you're making all these excuses for yourself and you're not actually willing to break them down, when I just showed you a formula that makes it very, very easy to do so, this is in your mind and it's a bigger problem, right? And it's this idea of like, maybe you don't want to do something, you're feeling stuck for a larger reason, but do not let your excuses be a reason for why you're wasting any minute of your life doing something that you don't want to do, okay? So what I'm trying to say is we are all dealt the same card when it comes to time, right? And some of us obviously have different ways that our time, basically, life serves us, with either diseases or problems. Maybe we don't have as much of it with the people that we love that we wish. Like, obviously, we're all born with time, but we don't necessarily get served it because that's life, right? And we're not in control of that, but we are in control of every minute that we are breathing, right? And by that, I don't mean that we control life, because we don't. But we have a say in how we're going to spend those 60 seconds and the next 60 seconds and the next 60 seconds. Right now, I am choosing to share this with you so that hopefully you can wake up tomorrow and, make something beautiful out of your day, right? And really use your time in a way that's incredibly fulfilling. And that knowledge or that hope is what's making this time that I'm spending right now worth my time, right? So think about, really try to reevaluate the way that you look at time and the way that you spend it and ways of not wasting it, right? Have every minute be beautiful for you. Why not? And if you're in a shitty situation, find a way out. Look for solutions. And if you're in a shittier situation, you got to look harder, right? And you got to put in that effort. But I promise you that when your heart is in the game, right? When your heart is in it, and when you find support of the people around you who are going to support you because they see your heart is in it, right? And you really learn to have extreme gratitude for your time and for the ways in which you can get to spend it or not spend it, I promise you that you're going to start seeing instant improvements in your life, right? And then you're going to have more time to do the things that you love. And in turn, doing the things that you love are going to help you basically manifest amazing things in your life. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to share about time. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to ask me, to connect with me. Obviously, as you guys know, this is part of my work as well, is to really work with my clients and help them to understand what it is that they need to value and how they can actually create stories and manifest the sort of results that they want to see in their lives. And that can be any part of it. So goodbye for Facebook.